Good day to all of you. I think all of you are having a good time, and I'm recovering from a small infection, but that's all right. So, today I'm going to do a small lecture on how to do a literature search. Not just a literature search, I'm going to discuss about, as you see on the screen, on the left side, I have some of my notes here, which will pretty much guide what we are going to do right now. And then on the right side, you will notice how exactly I'm going to make sense out of all of these things. So, literature search is something that we'll be discussing today. And before we start, see the intention or the purpose of doing this video is to help first year, first semester students understand how to do a basic literature search. That's the entire purpose of this and nothing else. So once we get that, the basics done, I will also show you how to investigate the legitimacy of a paper. We need to know whether the resources that we are using is legit or not. And then using that, I'll show you how to develop a very basic paragraph, and thereby we'll also discuss how to write a basic research proposal, like what entails a research proposal and information of that sort. Okay, now let's start with the first. How exactly are we going to do a literature search, and why do we need to do a literature search in the first place? So let's say you want to write a small research proposal. For that also you need to have a research literature. You need to have research literature, and you use this literature to help readers understand what exactly you are proposing. Now, let's think of a sample research title. Now, of course, I think if you are my students at uh, Sri Lanka Institute of Information Technology, you would know uh, that we have some coursework to do. And let's hypothetically think of a topic here. Let's say self-efficacy. Okay, self-efficacy and its effects on anxiety. Okay, now here's the thing. Let's say this is a very simple research topic, self-efficacy and its effects on anxiety. Now, of course, if any one of you viewers are postgraduate students or doctoral students, this is not going to make so much of sense, but because I am just demonstrating some of the very basics here. So if you're a first year students, then you will be definitely benefited. So let's say self-efficacy and its effects on anxiety. Now this is my title. Now the first things first. The first thing that you need to do, you need to locate and identify your interest. Now this is my research title. I am interested in finding whether self-efficacy has something to do with anxiety. So I have two constructs here. The first one is self-efficacy and the other one is, let's say, general anxiety. I'm not going to do research on, now there are different types of anxiety, but here I am just interested in general anxiety. So then I am going to slightly tweak this a little bit. Self-efficacy and its effects on general anxiety, like this. So you need to have a very good title, but now here I think we can even make this particular title even further concise as well. For example, self-efficacy and, let's say, general anxiety. And then you can put a small colon here and further add up kind of like a subtitle here, self-efficacy and general anxiety. You could say investigating effects and investigating effects, and we can try to come up with something here, investigating effects and or we can say investigating, okay, reviewing, let's say reviewing contemporary literature and effects, something like this. So self-efficacy and general anxiety, this is exactly what I'm going to do, and I'll be reviewing contemporary literature and uh, effects, or if not, you could say investigating effects, investigating effects and let's say causation, something like that. So the title is something that you would have to write to indicate what exactly you are going to do. Now, this could be one student's title. Another person may come up with something like this: investigating the association between self-efficacy and general anxiety. Something like this. So even this is fine. As long as the title makes sense, I think it is all right. But one thing that you have to notice here is that you have to have both your title, both the important constructs here in your title. And it's very clearly indicating the direction at which we are going to go with this research. So here it is very clear: association between self-efficacy and general anxiety. Now this has no direction, because self-efficacy and general anxiety, if they have an association, then yes, basically what it means is they are associated. Maybe self-efficacy has something to do with anxiety, or anxiety has something to do with self-efficacy. Even here I am not mentioning the particular direction, so it all depends upon the kind of research that you would want to do. But here, just for the sake of this particular video, I'm going to just stick to this: investigating the association between self-efficacy and general anxiety. Now, very clear. I have my title, I know what I want to find. Now the question is, what do I need to search to find some literature? Now, in your research proposal, oh, if you need to forget about a proposal, but if you need to write something about a very specific topic, you need to come up with some basic information related to that. Now, here we'll discuss the research proposal aspect a bit later, but first I am going to just focus on finding some relevant literature. Now, first let's ask this question: what is self efficacy? So, this is something that I need to write. Self efficacy. Okay, so what is self efficacy? What is it? And then why is it relevant? Okay, and do we have any relationship with anxiety? So let's say any relationship with anxiety. I need this information, this would be my basic literature set, and I'm going to do the same thing for anxiety as well. Anxiety. So I'm going to just write, what is anxiety? Why is it relevant? Any relationship with self-efficacy. Now let's do a basic. Now these are our main constructs. I'm going to just keep it right here. And what do we not know about this? Is there something that we don't know about this? So that we are going to keep it here. What do we not know about this? I need to have these basic things to do my literature search, okay? So I'm going to keep this guy right here as well. So how exactly am I going to perform this literature search? I'm going to go to Google, and then I'm going to engage in some Boolean searches. So I'm going to search self-efficacy and anxiety. This is exactly what I'm going to do. Now you can of course use databases as well, research databases like PsycInfo. You can use that, but I don't have access to PsycInfo right now to show that. So as a result, I'm going to just show you how to do this on Google, how to use Google to do some basic literature search. Now let me open up my Google here. Okay. Now I'm going to, I have just written here self-efficacy, and you can clearly see here, okay, just messed it up, self-efficacy and anxiety. This N is the divider that I have here. So I am interested in finding self-efficacy and anxiety. Then I'm writing it as PDF. So I want Google to give me search results that are all PDFs, but it all explains self-efficacy and anxiety. Now, these are all possible research papers. Now, first things first, I need to understand whether this is a research paper or not. It says role of self-efficacy and anxiety in resilience effects, so something something, performance and well-being, written by someone named K.R. Wills. So I'm going to just click on this. Let's see what exactly we have. Okay, now this one is a dissertation. How do I know? Because it says the title, it says Kathleen Renee Wills, Wright State University, and it's Browsall thesis and dissertations. Now, yes, you can find information from dissertations as well, but then again, it's a bit of a process. So I'm not going to go through a dissertation. I need research papers. Okay, we have ResearchGate here. Self-efficacy and anxiety among EFL learners with different kinds of multiple intelligences. Now, yes, it speaks about self-efficacy and anxiety, but not necessarily about self-efficacy and anxiety itself. It actually tries to identify information about self-efficacy and anxiety among EFL learners with different kinds of multiple intelligences. So that's okay, but I just need to find something about self-efficacy and anxiety. So this is ResearchGate. ResearchGate is a place that you can utilize to find research papers. I encourage all of you to have a ResearchGate account. Now let's just read this. Now this is the paper. Let's see how to identify basic information. Now this paper has a very clear title. You have to first read this title, and then it has information about authors and theory and practice in language studies. So this of course is the name of the journal. Okay, name of the journal. And then volume 5, number 12, these are the pages, and this was published in December 2015. I'm going to just read this a little bit to see whether I have any important information. It says the present study was an attempt to investigate the relationship between self-efficacy and anxiety of EFL learners. Okay, that's fine. Seems like good information for me. So now I need to first understand what self-efficacy is. So just let's read this quickly to see whether we have some information here. Okay, it explains the discipline of second language here. Okay, right now here. Self-efficacy is predominantly defined as the belief that one holds in their capabilities to achieve a goal or an outcome. Okay, now I'm going to just copy and paste this. Okay, now here's where things are going to get tricky. Now, if you just write this as it is, you would probably be doing poor scholarly work. So I'm going to just write it here like this. It gave me so much of information. I don't need this. Now, here's the thing. This is what I found. Self-efficacy is predominantly defined as the belief that one holds in their capabilities to achieve a goal or an outcome. Now, this is the in-text citation. The author of that paper was given Rudy Davis Matthew 2012. I'm going to find this paper now. If I can find this paper, I can go all the way down the research article. This is the research article. I'm going to go all the way down and you will find the references. Now these are references. These are all alphabetically ordered. Okay, here Rudy Davis Matthews, the relationship among self-efficacy and negative self-referent cognitions and social anxiety in children, multimediator model. I'm going to just search this paper as well. Okay, this paper was written in 2012. Here's another paper. It's available in PubMed. You can use PubMed also for finding literature. Now I'm going to find once again what self-efficacy is. Now here they don't have the full paper. Let's see whether I can access the full text here. Elsevier. Well, not the full per se, but they actually give me some snippets. So through your university, you might be able to get access, but if not, that's okay. Uh, let's see whether we can actually deal with what we have here. Evidence suggests that General Selfie and individuals' beliefs about his global abilities, social self-efficacy, and individuals' beliefs in his ability to navigate social situations are strongly connected to levels of social anxiety, negative self statements, also known as negative self referent cognitions, and also being linked with levels of social anxiety. So, self efficacy and negative self statements have some kind of a relationship. So, I'm going to use this information. Okay, why is this relevant? Any relationship with anxiety? Oh, yes, we do have a relationship. Self efficacy has self-efficacy and anxiety are related. How do I know? So I'm going to read it a little bit again. It says here, uh, so individual believes in his ability is actually connected. Now, what is self-efficacy? Self-efficacy is predominantly defined as the belief that one holds in their capabilities to achieve a goal or an outcome. And self-beliefs, so self-beliefs of efficacy has a crucial relationship with, let's say, self statements. So let's say self perceptions people have about themselves. So you have to paraphrase these things as well, because if you write it uh, or just copy and paste, it's not helping you by any means. So I'm not going to do that. So self beliefs of efficacy has a crucial relationship with perceptions people have about themselves. So, who's saying this? Rudy, Davis, and Matthews 2012. So, this is my in-text citation. So, Rudy, Davis, Matthews, these are surnames of the writers. You can see Brittany M. Rudy, Thompson E. Davis, and Matthews. I'm going to just select uh, the surnames, and then I'm going to use that and then the publication year for this. So, then that's all right. Okay, so this is some information for me. Why is this relevant? So this is relevant because self-efficacy has so much to do with these kind of things. So I'm going to just find some literature for that. Let's find whether we can do something with this paper, the original paper that I first found. Self-efficacy and anxiety. Uh, okay. So higher the efficacy, higher the achievement. So there are a lot of information that is originally provided here. So very similar to this, you can actually find these original papers. You have to just go to the reference section of this paper and you can find information. Now I'm going to take this information as well. Self-efficacy produces higher level of achievement. Why is this relevant? Why is it relevant? Because higher the efficacy, higher the achievement. Now, who said this? Bandura in 1984. So this was told by Bandura in 1984. Now, just to make this is interesting, I'm going to paraphrase this, the first statement that I just wrote. Self-efficacy is one's belief in his or her capacity to execute capacity to achieve objectives. Let's say something like this. Now, who's written this first paper? This first paper is written by Hamid Marashi and Masume Dakile. So I'm going to just take this two last names, Marashi and Dakili, in 2015. So let's write that as well. Marashi and Dakili in 2015. Okay, now I have some information here. Now you don't need so much of information. Well, of course, if you have more information, then it is good. I'm going to take this anxiety component out as well. So now I know what self-efficacy is, but I need to know now what anxiety is. So I need to have that as well. So let's go back to our initial Google search. Now these are all literature that you can find. This is a paper on ResearchGate. These are all different papers. So you open these things up, you can find more information like this. So this is exactly what you call literature search. You have to find literature. And see here, these are very recent papers, 2022. Now seems like this could also be a dissertation, but there are a lot of papers that you can find. If you go to the next page, you will still find a study of the level of self-efficacy, depression. Okay, let's see what that paper is all about. A study of the level of self-efficacy, depression, and anxiety between accounting and management students. The university should provide numerous programs to assist students in successfully completing their degree and to help them to increase their self-efficacy. Okay, now let's do a quick search and try to identify what they have explained about anxiety. You press your control and F, it will give you the thing to search. You type anxiety. Let's see whether they have any information about anxiety. Individuals with high self-efficacy may lower their stress and anxiety. Is this information important for me? Oh yes, 100%. I'm going to write this down very quickly. Why is this relevant? Is there a relationship with anxiety? Yes. High efficacy tend to lower anxiety. Now, who is saying this? I'm going to just find the names of these researchers. Uh, Gaderi and Salehi in 2011. Gaderi and Salehi. I'm going to just write their names like this. And 2015. Okay. Oh no, that's 2011. I'm going to write 2011. Okay, now I found that information as well. But let's see what anxiety is all about. So now if you have this paper, you of course have quite a lot of information about anxiety. So let's see whether we can find some definition of anxiety here. Okay, can't seem to find a clear definition here, but I'm going to just search that. I'm going to just write anxiety and PDF. See, anxiety, this is a research paper. Anxiety insights into signs, symptoms, and etiology. Okay, so the paper is loading. East African Scholars, Journal of Medical Sciences. Anxiety disorders are the most common or frequent occurring mental disorder. They encompass a group of conditions that share extreme pathology. Anxiety as the principal disturbance. Pathological counterpart of normal fear manifests by disturbances of mood as well as of thinking, behavior, and physiological activity. Okay. So generalized anxiety disorder is also part of the bigger anxiety spectrum, but I'm going to just write about anxiety here. Let's say anxiety is characterized by fear, mood disturbances, and distortions in thinking, something like that. Okay, so anxiety is, let's say, characterized by let's say persistent fear, distortions in thinking, mood fluctuations, etc. Now, of course, when you write your coursework, you have to do a better job in terms of searching and understanding what each one of these clearly say. I am just doing this to show you how to do a basic literature search. That's why I didn't bother too much to read all of this. But when you do it, you of course should read it properly. Uh, Advance, okay, I can't remember these names, so I'm going to just copy and paste it here so that I could include them on my text. Okay, so the first one's name is Advance, that's the surname. Okay, second one is Jibril or something. I'm going to just write it like this. ASAB. See the publication year. Publication year is 2019. It's 2019. Okay, like this. Now we know what exactly self-efficacy is. We know what exactly anxiety is. I'm going to just order these things. Okay, I'm going to cut this self-efficacy here. Now I need to develop a very small paragraph. Now here's what we do. Usually when you have something to write, the first thing that you should do is to develop a structure. You develop your structure like this. Now what I have just demonstrated is a very basic structure, and if you see to my left, I am here mentioning find 5 to 6 good relevant papers, and that's it. But depending on what you need to do, you might have to develop a very good structure. First think, what is my objective here? Why do I need to write this particular paper? What do I intend to tell my readers? Now here I am intending to explain, actually here not investigating the association between self-efficacy and general anxiety. Now, what do I intend to tell my readers? So this is exactly what we would want to do. Okay. Now you can clearly see how exactly I found some of this information. But I can't just put this information like this. I need to develop a well-sounding argument. If I can produce an argument, then it would become logical. Now I have listed some of the findings here from different research papers. This is one research paper. This is another research paper. This is another research paper, another research paper, and another research paper. So we have about 5 research papers and information from them. Now using this information, let's try to write a paragraph. Now I might not able to, I might not have the capacity to develop the nicest paragraph from my first attempt itself, but let's give a try. Okay, let's say self-efficacy is a person's belief in his or her capacity to achieve objectives, let's say in their life, to achieve, let's say, key objectives in their life. Okay, now I'm going to put the citation here. Similarly, anxiety is characterized by persistent fears, distortions in thinking, and mood fluctuations, etc. a person might have on a regular basis. I'm going to put this citation here as well. Okay, now, so like this. Now you have to mention why this is relevant for us. So, as per some of the reviewed literature, individuals with higher efficacy tend to have tend to have or tend to experience lower anxiety. Now, uh, this is that information. I am going to just take this information and put it right here. Okay. And here we have another finding. It says self-beliefs of physics are crucial relationship with perceptions people have about themselves. A key reason for this is self-efficacy's ability to influence uh, perceptions people have about themselves. Okay, let's say something like this. So I'm going to just write that here as well. Okay. Now that is also written here. Further, it is reported that higher efficacy tend to make people achieve higher in their lives. Okay, you can write like this. If not, what you can do is you could say here's another way of writing. As Bandura 1984 uh, postulated, or maybe you could say theorized, higher efficacy enables people to achieve, let's say, higher enhanced efficacy. Okay, say self-efficacy enables people to achieve, as Bendu 94 theorized, uh, higher self-efficacy is a good, let's say, determiner of a person's capacity to achieve. Okay, now like this. Okay, now I'm going to delete this one. This I don't need this. See, now this is what we call a very basic literature search, and how to write a small paragraph using literature that we have just found. Okay, now if you are a student, probably you are wondering whether this is logical. It is logical because here we haven't come up with the conclusion, but I'm going to come up with that conclusion. So let's say all of these are basic information. So what would this information imply us? Therefore, in the present research, authors reason self-efficacy and anxiety to have a clear relationship that needs to be investigated further to help individuals or help students. Just need to be investigated further, and maybe we can say why exactly we need to investigate this further as well. Such examinations, or such examination of the identified relationship will help young scholars comprehend the benefits self-efficacy would bring to such examination of identified relationship will help young scholars comprehend the benefits self-efficacy would bring, let's say, to the bigger society. Okay, something like this. Right. Now here I have a title, and this is my very basic, what do you call, introductory paragraph. Now nothing fancy. This is just, I found some literature, and based on this literature I just developed this chapter. So not chapter, just this simple paragraph. And this paragraph might of course look like a small introductory paragraph, so I'm going to just write it here, introduction. So I'm calling this the introduction. I'm just going to keep it here. Now this is my title. Okay, now before I go further, here's what I'm going to just quickly go to grammarly.com. I'm going to just check whether my grammar is all right. You can always do this as well. I always encourage students to do this just to make sure that our writing is good and free from basic grammar errors. So create an account and then open up this. Now I'm going to just copy and paste it here. Even if you are a seasoned writer, still you might make little mistakes. So I need to set my goals here. My audience is an expert audience. Format needs to be very formal. Domain is general, and intent is to convince. Done. Now correctors, there are some errors. Okay, I'm going to accept these things. Okay, that is corrected. The authors, that is also corrected. See, here I have mentioned a person might have on a regular basis. So Grammarly is asking me to correct this, might have regular rather than saying on a regular basis. Yes, it makes sense. I'm going to select that. So this is clear enough, engaging enough. It is correct. Delivery is a little low and I have a score of 85. That's okay. If you have a premium account, it will further correct these things as well, but you can try to change them. Self-efficacy is a person's belief in, let's say I'm going to change this, in their capacity to achieve key objectives in life. So since you have there in two different times, so then it will be redundant. Now I'm going to just remove that. Now my score just rose from 85 to 86. And likewise, I have some wordy sentences, I have passive voice misuse, I have some inappropriate colloquialism, I have some punctuation related issues. So these issues need to be corrected. That's the purpose of why we are doing this. Now you can change this until you get a better score. Now I'm not going to do the entire thing here. I will upload a separate lecture later so that you can identify how exactly we are going to go ahead with this. But I think this would be enough for us right now just to see what exactly we would want to do. Now this is a bit of an improved version of the previous paragraph I just had. Now, some of you might think that I didn't read very well. Yes, I didn't read very well because I just wanted to show you how to come up with a very basic paragraph here. Now, you can find more information like this. What you have to do is you have to have a research log, create a separate Word document and include all your findings about self-efficacy and general anxiety in that particular paper. And then, just like what I did, using that information, write in your own words a very simple paragraph. And this paragraph has to be logical. It has to have premises. And if your premises are accurate, it will always give you a conclusion, a valid conclusion. Now let's read this one and see whether our conclusion is right. See, self-efficacy is a person's belief in their capacity to achieve key objectives in life. Similarly, anxiety is characterized by persistent fears, distortions in thinking, mood fluctuations, etc. a person might have regularly. As per some of the reviewed literature, individuals with higher efficacy tend to experience lower anxiety. A key reason for this is self efficacy's ability to influence perceptions people have about themselves. As Bandura theorized, higher self efficacy is a good determiner of a person's capacity to achieve. Therefore, in the present research, the authors reason self efficacy and anxiety to have a clear relationship that needs to be investigated further. This is our conclusion. We are saying self efficacy and anxiety needs to be investigated further because there's a clear relationship. But then, me just doing this, or me just, if I just say this statement out of like all of a sudden, if I just say this sentence without giving the previous information, this information, the first few sentences, then you will not believe what I say. Maybe self-efficacy and anxiety has a good relationship, but when I say it, you might not accept it. So therefore is a word that indicate that I am giving a conclusion. This is my conclusion. I am concluding saying there's a good relationship, and that examining that kind of relationships uh, will help young scholars comprehend the benefits self-efficacy would bring to the bigger society. This is my conclusion. But this conclusion is implied because of the information I have given here. Without this information, this conclusion might not make any sense. So these are your premises. A good logical argument should have a minimum of two premises and a conclusion, but we have here multiple premises, and each premise is taken from a credible piece of research paper, piece of research. So published research work. So this is how you would do a basic literature search, just to come up with a very basic element, a basic. Um, this is how you would do a literature search to just come up with some basic information to write a very simple paragraph. Okay, so very easy, nothing complicated. Now, I would want to transform this to a research proposal. So, investigating the association between self efficacy and general anxiety. Here I'm going to put my name, let's say like this. And after writing this, I'm going to just write my affiliation here. I'm just going to write the university that I was studying earlier, let's say like this. And make sure it is all Times New Roman. Okay, you can use any other font as well, but just for this purpose, I am going to use Times New Roman, and I'm going to keep it like this. Introduction, okay, like this. Now, in ideal research proposal, you need to have a simple abstract as well. An abstract is a summary of a research paper. I'm not going to discuss this today. I'm going to upload a later video to help you understand what a basic abstract would look like. Okay, so I'm going to just write it here to be added later. Okay, now the purpose is to write the introductory paragraph. We can work on the abstract later. Okay, now this is the basic introduction. Now once you have your introduction, I want you to develop a hypothesis as well. Now let's write that as well. Based on the rationale given above, the below given hypothesis was generated for the present quantitative inquiry. Okay. Now here's what I'm going to do. H1, I'm going to just write the alternative hypothesis. So we are going to do just a simple correlational study. So as a result, just this piece of information would do. So self-efficacy and general anxiety share a statistically significant association. Or if not, you could say there's a statistically significant association between self-efficacy and general anxiety. So this would be your hypothesis. Okay. Now, this is your basic introduction, and then let's come up with a simple method section as well. Now, method section, I'm not going to discuss it today because, like I told, today I'll be mainly discussing on literature search and then research proposal writing, but not the entire proposal, a bit of the proposal. But later I will add more information and explain you how exactly the rest of the research proposal needs to be fine-tuned, but then investigating the legitimacy of a research paper. Now, method section, once again, very similar to this, to be added later. Now, after introduction and before methods, there's another section called literature review. Now, a literature review is a separate section that we have to discuss, but considering that you guys are still in your first semester, I don't think this is the right time to discuss a literature review. But then again, now we have some understanding about finding literature. What I want you guys to do in the upcoming weeks is to just work on finding literature, finding relevant literature, how to search literature, and keep this information and then develop a very simple paragraph. A very simple paragraph so that we know how exactly we need to further fine tune this for our future work. Okay, so this is the basic expectation. Okay, now with this I'm going to stop this video, and oh, before we stop this, I'm going to show you how to investigate the legitimacy of a paper as well. What I will do is I will quickly take you through that as well. I actually found a paper for this from my own ResearchGate account. So this ResearchGate, and let's say this is a recently written paper. Whenever you get a paper, you need to find a few pieces of information. First, a good research paper should be published in a journal. This is the name of the journal, European Journal of Education Studies. This is DOI, Digital Object Identifier. It has a volume number, usually issue numbers, publication year. There needs to be a very good title, usually names of authors and their affiliations. And then a usual paper should have an abstract and an introduction section and all the other relevant section as well. But basically, you need to find whether these authors are affiliated to a university or any other organization, and whether there's a proper title and whether there's a name for the journal. I think if you can just find these information for the time being, that would be more than enough. So here's the basic structure that I first developed. If I need to come up with one paragraph, I need to have this. These are the basic notes I wrote. Self-efficacy has something to do with the beliefs we have about ourselves. Low efficacy, higher the doubts, higher anxiety. Therefore, self-efficacy has something to do with anxiety. So although I didn't write specifically about doubts, I think I have some working piece of information just to explain what this is all about. So we found the papers, and I also have given how to search as well, self-efficacy. You can even search like the self-efficacy definition PDF, it will give you something, and how to come up with basic in-text citations. So fine-tune your writing. So our basic mission is then accomplished. This is exactly what you would need to do. Now in the methods, we'll discuss this further, but there are a few things you need to think about when you want to write a good method. First, what is your research design? Research design. What is your sample? Okay. okay, let's say sample or sampling strategy, and then what are the tools that you will be using to collect data. That is very important as well. And then what is the procedure of collecting data, how would you analyze your data, and finally ethics or ethical considerations. Okay, although I said I'm going to discuss this later, but I'm going to just discuss it now so that we can finish this as well. Okay, let's do this. Let's say the following research is a quantitative survey. I'm going to do this particular research as a survey because this is not an experiment. I'm going to do this as a survey. Okay. The following research is a quantitative survey. For the purpose of testing the previously identified hypothesis, some random sample of 100 college students will be recruited. Okay, now my sampling strategy is also done. The general self-efficacy scale by Keshfosa and Jerusalem, (1995), and the generalized anxiety scale GAD-7 by, I don't remember who exactly has authored GAD-7, so let's just search that GAD-7 so we can finish that as well. Okay, this is the scale. Okay, developed by doctors Robert Spitzer, Williams, and colleagues. So I'm going to just take these names here so that I can do the needful. By Spitzer, Williams, and how to pronounce that name, Kronk. What's the publication year? I think 1999. Let's say 1999. Are chosen. The researchers will approach students of a higher education institution randomly, and selected data will be entered to Microsoft Excel for further quantitative or further statistical, let's say further statistical analysis. Okay, something like this is okay. To test the hypothesis, a simple, okay, you don't need to say it's simple, Pearson correlation will be conducted and results will be interpreted using APA, using standard APA styling. let's say this research also complies with the, okay, this research also obtained ethical clearance from, let's say, institutional review board of ABC University. Okay, something like this. So this would be a very basic method section. This would be a very good basic method section. So all good. Okay, now. So I'm going to just color this in black. Now let's take this and put this in Grammarly as well. Okay, so there are some errors. I'm going to just correct them. Entered into the institutional ABC University U capital. Okay. Clarity is not so good. Okay, so not for the purpose of testing, to test the previously. Okay. That is also good. Good suggestions. So the score here is 76, but you can further increase it if you just correct these other underlying errors as well. I'm not going to correct them right now, but you can do it when you do your work. Okay, right. Now this is a very good, simple, but yet effective research proposal. Look, now this is the basic format that you should have. So I think if you can develop something like this, so we have something that is available as to do more fine tuning and add more information later. Now here's one other thing I need to tell before I end this video. A lot of people, even experienced researchers, don't start until they find all the information. Please don't be that person. Now look, it took me about 40 minutes or maybe 1 hour to come up with all this information and do a little bit of teaching and get this thing done. Now one could say, yes, I have been doing this for some time. Yes, that of course is true. But you still noticed how many mistakes I did. Even for the first 30, 35 minutes or so, instead of investigating, I had investing as my title. See, this is exactly what writing is all about. It's not about getting a foolproof thing on your first attempt itself. You make mistakes, and making mistakes is part of writing something good. That's perfectly all right. But what I want you to do is to attempt this today itself. Write something and then keep on changing it until you are satisfied. That is exactly what I want you to do, and that is the lesson that I want you to do today as well. You to go through today as well. And when I see you, I would like to go through your draft reports, and this is exactly what I want you to do today. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, please comment down below, or if not, you can just contact me and let me know of your questions as well. So thank you very much. I'll see you again with a similar lecture. Thank you very much. I hope I was able to give you some understanding about how to search some literature, how to write a basic paragraph, and how to create a very simple proposal. Okay, thank you very much.